We'll go ahead and call to order the Indiana Gaming Commission meeting of March 27th, 2025. Executive Director Hogue, would you please take a roll call?
Sure. Chairman Herons,
Present.
Commissioner Fine,
Present.
Commissioner Cohen,
Present.
Commissioner Hill,
Present.
Commissioner Hausman,
Present.
Commissioner Williams.
Present.
All right, Mr. Chairman, we do have a quorum.
Thank you. The first item on the agenda is approval of minutes. We will consider those and whether there are any additions or corrections. I actually have one, and I'm going to raise it first before I go to the other commissioners and see where they stand. But on the minutes, the order 2024-146 through 149, there is no notation from the last meeting that we took a vote on that and that the vote was unanimous. And so I would go ahead and make a motion to amend the meetings to add that to the record. Is there a motion?
So moved.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion about that motion to amend? None appearing. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Nay. The ayes have it. I will go ahead then and ask for the commissioners if there are any other changes or corrections to the minutes of the last meeting back in December. Okay. Not appearing. Executive Director Hogue will now provide the report of the Executive Director. Joe.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. One of the unique things that the executive director does is introduce new staff. And so I guess I still qualify as new staff. So I guess it's only appropriate that, I introduce myself to you. Many moons ago, from 2008 to 2011, I was a staff attorney here at the Gaming Commission. So it's been a welcome journey back home. If you would have told me 14 years ago that I would come back to the Gaming Commission, I would be the executive director, and I would have not one single piece of hair on my head, I would have been amazed at what a journey it has been for the last 14 years. But it's been really great coming home. There's many things that I remember. There's many things that I don't remember at all. But what really has amazed me is all the new things that the commission does. I think the one that comes most recently to mind is the sports wagering and the whole process of standing that up in 2019 and moving forward. So it's been great to be home. It feels like it's always one of those things that it just feels right. And so when people have asked, like, how's your day been or how's the first couple months been, it's always been, I couldn't have asked for a better new start here at the commission. So when I was gone for those last 14 years, I've kind of bounced around state government a little bit. I was commissioner at the Bureau of Motor Vehicles. I was commissioner at the Department of Labor and worked as general counsel at the DNR, all which I think will help me and help the commission moving forward to do the great things and regulate as we see fit. So I've told staff now that I have a gaming portion of my brain that's not in shape anymore. So getting that back into shape has been fun. And also one of the things I've not been surprised at is the professionalism and the welcoming nature of our staff. They still will answer all of my dumb questions, and sometimes even when I ask them multiple times. But it's truly been great being home. So again, if you know me, that'll be about the most you're going to get me to talk about myself. So let's move on to the more important things on the agenda. So I would say it is a bittersweet moment now. I'd like to recognize Rob Townsend. Rob is our current for the moment, superintendent of law enforcement. Rob began his journey in law enforcement in 1986 as a trooper with the Indiana State Police. And after a glorious 25 years there, he came on board to the commission with us and initially worked in gaming control and then moved his way up for the last 10 years to be superintendent. Rob has the story, and I always enjoy that his father at State Police was Larry Rollins, and Larry Rollins is a name I'm sure many of you remember. And so it was almost preordained in the stars that Rob was someday going to work at the Gaming Commission because of that close relationship he had with Larry up north in Columbia City in near Fort Wayne. So Rob has been nothing but welcoming since I've been here. And just for those of you who don't know, in the law enforcement area in the state of Indiana, there comes a time when you have to age out. And so Rob is reaching that point on March 31st will be his last day with us. But in a stroke of luck for us, it's not completely, we're not completely losing him. And Rob is going to go work in our charity gaming division as an undercover investigator and near his neck of the woods. So he won't have to drive anymore. He'll have less responsibility, but we'll still be able to tap into all the background and experience Rob has had. And so Rob, just on behalf of the commission, we just like to thank you. We'd like to thank your wife and your children for supporting you for all those years. And just congratulations on an amazing career. So if I could. Now with Rob stepping down on the 31st, we will have a new director or a new superintendent of law enforcement. That is Brock Pilgrim. Brock is here and can stand. Brock's a little shy. One of the most interesting things about Brock that I found since coming on board is he was part of our original class of gaming agents. For those of you who aren't historians of the Gaming Commission, there was a time when state police would man and be responsible for the enforcement section for the agency. But Rob was part of that new wave of agents that come on board, and he's just spring-loaded all the way Brock is spring-loaded to the top. He started as an agent in Lawrenceburg, and he was a supervisor for a very long period of time at Horseshoe, Indianapolis. And then thereafter, he was a Central Zone Assistant Director. He was Assistant Director of Operations. And most recently, he has been serving as Deputy Superintendent of Investigations. Brock has been a joy to work with since coming on board, and he's well thought of throughout the agency for his problem solving, his management, and he's definitely, without a doubt, a hard worker. So we look forward to working with Brock. I don't think he will age out for a number of years, but I think Rob has already said that he feels that the division is in excellent hands with Brock at the helm. So again, it's bittersweet, but congratulations to you both. Other new hires that we've had since the last time that the commission met, Nate Friend is here somewhere. Nate has joined us, the legal division, as our legislative liaison, and he received his bachelor's degree from Franklin College in political science and government. And ironically, one of the things I learned about Nate when he came is I'm a Franklin College graduate as well. And not only were we Franklin College grads, we were also members of the same fraternity. So Nate being in the social media age, there's maybe more incriminating pictures of him than there is of me because I am a long ago graduate. So
it sounds like nepotism.
Yes, yes. Prior to coming to the Gaming Commission, Nate worked in Washington, D.C. for Senator Todd Young as a legislative correspondent, and he did policy work in regards to healthcare, education, and agriculture. And following that, he was most recently worked with Governor Braun's campaign as the regional field director for Central Indiana. So we've thrown Nate in on the deep end because obviously first term governor for the legislature. So he's been nothing but a great asset, and we look forward to a long career from him. So thank you, Nate. Erin Kellum has also come on board since we've last met. Erin is the newest senior staff attorney, and she comes to us from the Indiana Department of Administration, where for the last 8 years, she was deputy commissioner for procurement. So right off the bat, we've utilized that skill set and that knowledge from Erin. And she has also, in addition to working prior for the Department of Administration, she was a deputy prosecutor in Marion County, and she also worked for the Department of Health in a couple different legal roles over the years. So we're glad to have Erin on board. I don't know if this man needs an introduction or not, but I'd also like to introduce our new deputy director, Mike Smith. Mike is a former state representative from Rensselaer. He's also the former director of the Casino Association in Indiana and is former executive director of the Indiana Horse Racing Commission. So as deputy director, Mike's going to oversee our audit and compliance divisions and also renew some of those old relationships he has across the street with the legislature to help us out when we have a time in need. And working and traveling with Mike over the last 3 months, I can assure you he knows everyone, and he has a story about all of you, especially the people in this audience. So it's been a great experience. Mike and I, for all the years we've worked in state government, we've never came together to work on anything, and minus one exception. But it's been great traveling and working with Mike, and we're glad to have him on board. So last but definitely not least, we would like to note Kevin Clore, who works in our audit division. Kevin has come on board since our last meeting. He's a graduate of Millikan University with a bachelor's degree in business administration, and he has several years in the banking industry. He also has 2 years of auditing experience during his time with the banking industry, and his most recent worked as a treasury analyst at Kelper Vision. So welcome aboard to him. So Moving on from introductions, our reinvestigations. Our investigation division has completed reinvestigations for licensees TCS John Huxley, Incredible Technologies, Halifax, Konami, and DK Brown Holdings, who does business as DraftKings Daily Fantasy. Those confidential reports were a part of your materials that received prior to today's meeting, and both Garth and Danielle are here to present should you have any questions. On the exclusion front, since the December 2024 meeting, commission staff has added 22 individuals to the exclusion list. And so with these additions, there are now a total of 1,089 individuals who reside on, it's not a good accomplishment, but to reside on the state's exclusion list. So as to waivers, the Gaming Commission has issued 7 waivers to Indiana casinos since our December business meeting. This information was in your materials and will also be posted on the commission's website. I also wanted to know that we welcome the return of the Casino Association filing waivers on behalf of the entire industry, not just the members of the association. So that creates a lot of efficiencies on the casino side as well as on our side. So I don't think I see Matt, but I'd like to thank Matt Bell. Oh, there he is. He's hiding. I'd like to thank Matt Bell, and I also like to thank Billy and Angela on our side for working together. And so those will be in your packets, and thank you for all those efforts there. Last but not least, one of the things I don't remember from when I was here before is all the moving parts and pieces that go into making this meeting possible. So I just wanted to recognize, I'm not going to be able to find everybody. But I wanted to recognize Liz and Robert and Zach and Angie and Billy and all of those that put together the meeting here today. It's an attention to detail endeavor, and they do a wonderful job at it. So I just wanted to say thank you for doing that. So with that, Mr. Chairman, that concludes my report.
Well, thank you for that report. And before moving on to the next item of the agenda, I just wanted to add a few things about the Executive Director Hogue. I've known him for more than a decade. He's smart, thoughtful, dedicated, professional, and he's, as he mentioned, he's a leader. He's led several state agencies and done a very good job with that. So the Gaming Commission, it was an excellent selection. Joe, congratulations. And I just wanted you to know how much I appreciated you being selected, because I know that we're going to be in good hands.
Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is administering oath to the presenters. Executive Director Hogue, would you please administer the oath?
Sure. If you're going to present today, could you please stand? You say I, state your name and remain silent. I do solemnly affirm, swear and affirm, subject to the penalties of perjury, to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help me God. You so agree? Yes. Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is old business. Do we have any old business to come before the commission today?
Chair, a quick question. I know we moved the amended minutes and those were approved. Do we need to move the minutes now and approve those as a whole, as amended?
We can certainly do that.
Okay, maybe
Yeah,
just for
that's
clarity
okay.
of the record.
Yep.
Thank you.
So that being the case, the minutes as amended, if we could have a motion from one of the commissioners to approve the minutes as amended.
I'll move to approve.
Good. It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Was there a second vote from the phone there?
I only heard one. Commissioner Williams? Still with us? We have all the numbers present.
Any opposition? Nay.
Can note his absence from that
I'll
vote.
note his absence. The ayes have it. Minutes as amended are approved. Thank you for that catch.
You're welcome. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Any old business? Apparently not. So let's move on to the new business.
Mr. Chairman, one thing on old business, staff has made a request of the commission if it would be possible to set the meetings of the commission for the remainder of the year. That would be the June, September, and December meeting. It definitely helps us in reserving space in this building. Tentatively, we have set that all the meetings for the year will be set in Indianapolis, and it allows us, there's a couple different options. If you've been a multiple attender of the meetings, there's other space that sometimes works a little bit better. So the commission would request, or I'm sorry, the staff would request that for moving forward to be June 23rd, September 25th, and December 18th would set the dates for the remaining meetings for the year. The only note on that would be June 23rd is a Monday. And the only reason for that switching to a Monday would be availability of space in the government center.
Well, commissioners, why don't we take a minute and look at those? So it's Monday, the 23rd.
Monday, the 23rd of June, Thursday, September 25th, and December 18th, which is also a Thursday. I didn't think we'd want to meet on Christmas Day. So,
That's a good call.
yeah.
I'm available on all those days. Okay.
Okay.
You're good? Okay, what about on the phone?
I should be available, Commissioner Williams.
Okay. So one of the things we will do, we'll have that posted on our website moving forward. So we will set those dates. And it will be obviously in this building, maybe in a different room, but all in central Indianapolis.
If there's nothing else on that. So the next item on the agenda, under the category, it's on the agenda of license renewals. Attorney Chris Neal will now present orders 2025-2 through 2025-6. Chris?
Good morning, Commissioners, executive staff. First, you have before you order 2025-2 pursuant to Indiana Code Section 4-33-7-8 and 68 IAC Section 2-2-8. A supplier's license must be renewed each year along with the payment of a $7,500 renewal fee. Each of the following licensees has submitted a timely request for renewal along with that required payment. That includes IGT, Halifax Security Incorporated, Zuvid LLC, Data Financial Incorporated, Incredible Technologies Incorporated, Interblock Luxury Gaming Products, TCS John Huxley Europe Limited, X Group Holdings Incorporated, MSC Gaming Incorporated, Genesis Gaming Solutions Incorporated, Amelco UK Limited, Sport Radar Solutions LLC, Surveillance System Integration Incorporated, L&W Gaming Incorporated, doing business as Light and Wonder, and Patriot Gaming and Electronics Incorporated. Approving Order 2025-2 would have the effect of renewing the license of each of the respective licensees for a period of 1 year. And then next on the agenda, you have before you orders 2025-3, 2025-4, and 2025-5 regarding the renewal of Centaur Acquisition LLC doing business as Horseshoe Indianapolis, Hoosier Park LLC doing business as Harrah's Hoosier Park, and Ameristar Casino East Chicago LLC's casino owners license renewals, respectively. Horseshoe Indianapolis, Hoosier Park, and Ameristar have all filed the proper paperwork and paid their renewal fee. Previously, by orders 2024-06, 2024-07, and 2024-08, the commission had approved the written powers of attorney for Horseshoe Indianapolis, Hoosier Park, and Ameristar, respectively. And these approvals expire upon the renewal of a casino owner's license. For that reason, all casinos must request renewal of the commission's approval of the written power of attorney concurrently with the request for renewal, or present the commission with a new written power of attorney, naming a new trustee in waiting. Horseshoe Indianapolis, Hoosier Park, and Ameristar have all stated their intent to maintain their existing trustees in waiting and have not presented the commission with any modifications to their power of attorney. Approving orders 2025-3 through 2025-5 would have the effect of renewing the license and approving the powers of attorney for Horseshoe Indianapolis, Hoosier Park, and Ameristar for a period of 1 year. And finally, you have before you order 2025-6. Pursuant to Indiana Code Section 4-38-6-6, a vendor's license must be renewed each year along with payment of a $50,000 renewal fee. Each of the following licensees has submitted a timely request for renewal along with the required payment. BetMGM doing business as Roar Digital for Belterra, Smarkets Holdings USA Incorporated doing business as SBK Indiana for Rising Star, and PointsBet Indiana doing business as Fanatics for Hollywood. Approving Order 2025-6 would have the effect of renewing the license of each of the respective licensees for a period of 1 year. Thank you.
Thank you for that report. Is there a motion on orders 2025-2 through 2025-6? Move for approval. It's been moved. Is there a second?
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Nay? Motion carries. Thank you for the documentation and the explanation on all of that. It was appreciated. Thank you. The next item on the agenda, under the category of permanent licenses, Director of Financial Investigations, Garth Brown, will now present Order 2025-7.
Thank you very much. I do want to note a correction. I'm Director of Background Investigations. I think there was a typo there, but I want to give Danielle her, due title.
Well, maybe it was a promotion.
Yeah.
True. A lot of truth to that. Good morning, commissioners and executive staff. You have before you order 2025-7, which references granting a permanent supplier's license to eCagra Limited. eCagra Limited submitted a supplier's license application in May of 2024 in order to provide certain testing and certification services to sports wagering providers operating in Indiana. Commission staff conducted a background and financial investigation on the applicant, along with substantial owners and key persons. The staff found no material derogatory information that would affect the suitability for the applicants. The staff's final report has been included in your confidential commission meeting documents for your review. Approving Order 2025-7 would grant a permanent supplier's license for eCagra Limited. I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you for that report. Is there a motion on Order 2025-7?
Move to approve.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you for the report and the documentation that was submitted. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yep. The Assistant Director of Sports Wagering and Paid Fantasy Sports, Leah Foster, will now present Order 2025-8.
Thank you. It's Leah.
Leah, excuse me for that.
It's fine.
Is the title?
My
is the
whole
title-
life. Yes. My whole life I've been called Leia because of Star Wars. So it's fine. I accept it. Good afternoon, commissioners and executive staff. You have before you Order 2025-8, which would approve the sports wagering service provider license for Alt Sports Data Incorporated. The applicant has submitted the required application and received the temporary license issued by the IGC. Commission staff conducted a background and financial investigation on the applicant and found no derogatory information that would affect the suitability of the applicant. Staff's final report is included in the confidential packet that was provided to you. Approving Order 2025-8 will grant a permanent license to Alt Sports Data. I'm happy to answer any questions you have.
Okay, thank you. Is there a motion on Order 2025-8? Move for approval. It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you for that report. That wraps up the category of permanent licenses on the agenda. We'll move on to casino matters and transfer of ownership. Deputy General Counsel Zachary Watson will now present Orders 2025-9 through 2025-11.
Good morning, Commissioners, Executive Staff. Commissioners, before you are Orders 2025-9 through 2025-11 concerning the ownership transfer application and associated financing for shares of Bally Corporation to be acquired by Standard General Management LLC, and the ownership transfer application for Mercer Gaming USA LLC for their planned acquisition of Gaming Arts LLC. Order 2025-9 and 2025-10 involve the ownership transfer and associated financing regarding Bally's Corporation. Bally's Corporation is the owner of Astar Indiana Gaming Company LLC, doing business as Bally's Evansville Hotel, Casino and Hotel, which holds an Indiana casino owner's license and certificate of authority to conduct sports wagering. Bally's is also the owner of Bally's Interactive LLC, doing business as Bally's Bet, which holds an Indiana sports wagering vendor's license. Standard General Management LLC controls Standard General LP, which is an SEC registered investment advisor that makes investment decisions for Standard General entities. Upon receiving the transfer application, the commission completed a background and financial investigation, finding Standard General was substantially compliant with Indiana statutes and regulations. The commission found no derogatory information that would affect Standard General's suitability to hold interest in Bally's Corporation. Details of the proposed financing of the ownership transfer of the commission's analysis were provided in your confidential materials. The timing of the transfer and associated financing required waiver of 68 IAC's so-called two-meeting requirement in accordance with Commission's authority contained in Resolution 2017-109 and an emergency order under Resolution 2012-151. Per Resolution 2017-109, Bally's was issued an interim approval of proposed financing transaction under the following conditions. First, the terms articulated in the financing documents do not materially differ from the terms that were presented in writing and approval. Second, the terms of the financial documents do not violate Indiana Code 433-421. Third, Bally's Corporation provides the commission with a legal opinion demonstrating compliance with Indiana Code 433-421. And fourth, Bally's closes on all proposed financing activity by July 1st, 2025. Per Resolution 2012-151, emergency approval of the ownership transfer was granted on January 20th, 2025 via Order 2025-1. Resolution 2017-109 and 2012-151 require that any interim financial approval and emergency orders allowing ownership transfer issued per the resolution be reported to the commission for consideration and final ratification. Order 2025-11 involves the ownership transfer and application of Merkur Gaming USA LLC to acquire Gaming Arts LLC, an Indiana supplier licensee. Upon receiving the transfer application, the commission completed a background and financial investigation, finding Merkur substantially compliant with Indiana statutes and regulation, and finding no derogatory information that would affect the transferee's suitability to hold interest in Gaming Arts. Approving orders 2025-9 and 2025-10 would have the effect of ratifying Bally's interim waiver of the two-meeting requirement, the financial approval, and the ownership transfer granted in 2025-1. Approving Order 2025-11 would have the effect of approving the ownership transfer of Gaming Arts LLC. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you. Is there a motion on orders 2025-9 through 2025-11?
So moved.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? None appearing. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you for that report. The next item on the agenda is disciplinary actions. Director of Compliance, Angela Bunton, will now present orders 20-25-12 through 20-25-14. Angela?
Hi there. Good afternoon, Commissioners and Executive Staff. You have before you 3 settlement agreements concerning disciplinary action against licensed casinos. Order 2025-12 is a settlement agreement with Bally's Evansville, wherein the casino operated the poker room without the computer system needed to track MTL and CTR transactions for approximately 9 months, a key component to the Title 31 and anti-money laundering practices and controls that monitor, report, and maintain records for cash transactions. 7 reportable transactions occurred during this time. Bally's Evansville agreed to a monetary settlement of $5,000. Order 2025-13 is a settlement agreement with Caesar Southern Indiana, wherein the casino improperly documented money instruments on the front money deposit log, and it was not an accurate representation of the actual transaction. Caesar Southern Indiana agreed to a monetary settlement of $1,500. Order 2025-14 is a settlement agreement with Harris Hoosier Park, wherein the casino's count room manager attempted to conceal and steal $501 from the count room during the count process. Harris Leisure Park failed to immediately notify the on-site gaming agents of the attempted theft, and surveillance operators admitted they were not properly monitoring the count process as required by commission regulations. Harris Leisure Park agreed to a monetary settlement of $4,500. Relevant details for each settlement agreement have been provided in your meeting materials. Each settlement agreement will also be available on the commission's website following the meeting. Mr. Chair, this concludes my presentation.
Those materials and report. Is there a motion on orders 20-25-12 through 20-25-14?
Move to approve.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Discussion? None appearing. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Commissioner Williams?
Yes.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
So we'll move on from disciplinary actions to occupational licenses on the agenda. Zachary Watson is up to present orders 20-25-15 through 20-25-17.
Thank you. Commissioners, before you have orders 2025-15 through 2025-17 concerning felony waiver applications of Jason Girdler, Gary Chaparro, and Brian Cushman. The individuals who have been convicted of a felony may not be granted an occupational license. However, an applicant who has been convicted of a felony is allowed to request a waiver if they establish by clear and convincing evidence that they have been rehabilitated. Mr. Girdler, Mr. Chaparro, and Mr. Cushman provided testimony about their rehabilitation, demonstrated ownership of their past mistakes, experienced significant personal growth since the incidents, and showed that they successfully completed the terms of their judgment. Detailed information regarding these orders are contained in your confidential commission materials. Adopting the staff's finding and recommendation would have the effect of granting Mr. Girdler, Mr. Chaparro, and Mr. Cushman felony waiver applications. And I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you for that report. Is there a motion on orders 20-25-15 through 2025-17?
I'll make a motion to approve.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any discussion? None appearing. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you. Next before you, you have orders 2025-18 through 2025-20. These orders concern applications for occupational licensees. These applicants failed to disclose their complete criminal history and or had felony convictions, and therefore failed to meet the established standards for licensure. The applicants were given an opportunity to withdraw their application from consideration, but have failed to do so. Detailed information regarding these orders are contained in your confidential materials. Approving orders 2025-18 through 2025-20 would have the effect of denying these applications.
Thank you for the report and the recommendation. Is there a motion on orders 2025-18 through 2025-20?
Move to approve orders.
Been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion? None appearing. All those in favor of the disciplinary actions and revocations say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries on those orders. Thank you.
And finally, you have before you orders 2025-21 and 2025-46. These orders concern settlement agreements between commission staff and occupational licensees. In lieu of disciplinary action, commission staff offered each of these licensees a settlement agreement that would have them agree to an unpaid voluntary relinquishment of their occupational license for a period of regularly scheduled work days with no vacation or other paid time off being used. Each of these licensees have agreed to the terms of the settlement agreements. Detailed information regarding each of these matters have been contained in your confidential materials. Approving order 2025-21 through 2025-46 would have the effect of ratifying these agreements with the occupational licensees.
Thank you for that report on the disciplinary actions and settlements. Is there a motion on orders 2025-21 through 2025-46?
Move for approval.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. Discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you for that report.
Thank you.
Next on our agenda is a presentation from Caesars, and Executive Director Hoag will introduce our presenter and talk about the presentation a little bit before we move forward.
All right. Well, Mr. Chairman, it's my pleasure to introduce to you and the rest of the members of the commission, Mr. Tom Reeg. He's Chief Executive Officer for Caesars Entertainment. Tom has a long history with the gaming industry, and he prior served as CEO of El Dorado Resorts, where he was instrumental in spearheading the acquisition of Caesars back in 2020 by El Dorado. He has a background in finance. He previously worked as managing director and portfolio manager for AIG Global Investment Group. But I think most importantly for this group, Tom is a Notre Dame grad. And so he has a bachelor's of business administration and finance. So Tom, on behalf of the commission, we welcome you today. If you could please introduce your colleagues and tell us all the great things that are going on at Caesars.
Thank you, Director Hoag, commissioners. I don't have a real agenda here. I just want to talk about Caesars in the state of Indiana. We're nearing 5 years post-acquisition. With me, among others, I've got Trent McIntosh, who runs our Horseshoe Indianapolis property, Jeff Hendricks, who heads up licensing for us, Dan Mita, our regional president for Indiana, Tim Lambert, who is our lawyer in this market. I've got a video that we've produced that I'll start with. We'll only make you watch it once. So just some numbers behind Indiana, for us at Caesars, we do over $800 million of revenue in the state of Indiana. That's makes Indiana our second largest state. Recall, we own 51 properties, so Indiana is only behind Nevada, where we have a significant presence on the Las Vegas Strip. We pay, in terms of gaming taxes, state and local licensing fees, about $350 million a year to the state. We employ over 2,400 team members, and for us, what's particularly gratifying about that is almost 25% of them have been with us for 10 or more years, and approximately 10% have been with us for 20 or more years. Those employees volunteer for 5,500 hours per year in their local communities each year. So we're very proud about that. As in terms of us as an employee, the Indiana Chamber of Commerce does a best places to work in the state of Indiana, which is obviously not just casinos and hospitality. It's all of the largest companies in the state. All three of our properties have been recognized. Harrah's Hoosier Park was the #1 major company in the major company category in 24. Horseshoe Hammond has a Hall of Fame designation for being recognized 13 consecutive years, and Horseshoe in Indianapolis was recognized for the first time in 2025. So we're particularly proud of that. As you know, in Indianapolis, we have a partnership with the Horsemen and the Indiana Horse Racing Commission, and we're proud to say we have bucked the trends there. Nationally, Horseshoe Indianapolis handle at the track has doubled since we took over ownership of the track. Harrah's Hoosier Park has had its 4 best consecutive years since opening. So I know that typically I'm in front of you asking for something. I'm not asking for anything here. This is really kind of an update in terms of where we are in Indiana, and happy to answer any questions. And yes, I did go to every playoff game for Notre Dame this year, and that was a hell of a ride. I'd like to do that again.
Questions, comments from the group?
Tom, Mike and I have been out traveling when we were at Anderson and spoke to Colin, and he was very proud and showing off. I know it hasn't been just yesterday, but your investments in the property you're at Anderson. Could you just talk a little bit about that for the
That's
commission?
right. So since we closed the acquisition July of 2020, we're approaching $150 million invested capital in the state. The 2 biggest of those projects was what Colin was showing you at Harrah's Hoosier Park, where we expanded the property, spent about $40 million there, adding additional positions, table game slots, restaurant options, and that followed doing the same thing at Horseshoe Indianapolis, kind of immediately post acquisition. So we've made consistent investment in the state, and I would say, I know there's dialogue as to what happens in the state going forward. What makes Indiana a great state for us in terms of investing is the stability of the regulatory environment, where states where we know what we've got and we're making decisions. When you invest $40 million in a property, you're expecting returns over 5-10 years in that investment. To know what the picture is 5-10 years going forward is extremely helpful there. And that's why Indiana has gotten a lot of investment attention from us. I'd also say, for the commissioner's benefit, I know that there is a concerted effort for a better working relationship between IGC and the operators. I can say from our standpoint, it's noticeable at the property level and appreciated.
Thank you for sharing. Any questions, thoughts? Well, I'll tell a story. So I worked for Governor Daniels for a few years back from 2007 to 10, and I was in our office, the gaming czar. And so I had horse racing, lottery, and the gaming commission. And I worked with Ernie Yelton. Ernie Yelton was the executive director. And I got a call from Ernie one day in 2008, and he said, "Hey, I'm going to take the Indiana Gaming Commission up to the lake. We're going to tour all of the casinos, East Chicago, Horseshoe, Blue Chip." And we got on a small bus and we went up there. We stayed overnight. But when we got to Horseshoe Hammond, it was under construction. And so we all had to put a hard hat on, a construction thing, and walk around. But I walked around before that was ever finished, and it was large and impressive. I wish I had a photo. I could put it up on the screen of me in that hard hat. It was a funny thing, but I just remember, if I'm not mistaken, it was the largest casino in the state at that point.
Yes,
And
it was
so,
the largest regional investment, I believe, in the country at that
Yeah.
point.
I remember leaving there thinking that's impressive. So appreciate your presentation today. And Joe, anything else you want to wrap up this?
I don't have anything, sir.
Mr. Chair, I have one thing, if you don't mind.
Sure.
And thank you, Mr. Reed, for your comments today. Can we revisit 2025-11 related to the Mercer transfer of ownership? That was presented with orders 2025-9 and 10. But I believe when we moved to approve 2025-9 and 10, 11 was omitted, I think unintentionally. So just as a point of clarity, would
You
you
sure
mind?
about that?
I'm not positive, but it's been brought to my attention that maybe that did occur. So
Thank you for
again,
that.
just as a belt and suspenders, I'd
Sweet.
suggest maybe we
So should
remove.
should we move to approve 11 specifically, or do 9, 10, and 11? as a
Just
group?
11.
Okay,
Thank you, Chair.
thank you for that. Is there a motion to approve order 2025-11 from the commission?
So moved.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Is there discussion? Not appearing. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. And thank you again for that presentation. Much appreciated that, and we may have more of those from different casinos in the future. But that concludes our agenda for today's meeting. Is there a motion to adjourn? So moved. It's been moved. Second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed, same sign.